What is going on, everyone? Welcome back to a brand new video. So it has been a year since The Last of Us Season 2 has been out. Um, and you guys already know I'm a Last of Us mega fan. I always will love The Last of Us. But yeah, so it's been a year since this season's come out. This very controversial, divided season of television that really I was gonna say split the fandom, but almost not really. I feel like most people just hated it, and there were few of us that liked it. I was one of them. I really did like season 2. I was happy with it. I didn't think it was perfect, but I thought people went way too overboard and harsh when it came out. Now time has passed. It's been a year. I've rewatched the season 3 times, something like that. And my thoughts have changed drastically. So before I start breaking it down, get into the things that I love and don't, overall, I'm going to say I think The Last of Us Season 2 is a embarrassing, mediocre season of television, and I think it completely misses the point of The Last of Us Part 2 story, and I think it was rushed, lazily written, and I really just don't think there was any intent to make a good story here. I think the intent was to push out a sequel to the first season because the first season was successful. I think money really blinded them in this situation here because it just lacks all the love, care, and attention that the second video game had, and that the first season of the show had, and that the first game had. But yeah, I'm going to break everything down. I'm going to tell you guys again everything I loved and didn't. And yeah, let's get into it. All right, so I'm going to start with the things that I loved because it's a very short list compared to with the things I didn't. So I think the big thing that Last of Us 2 got really well done was episode 2, 4, and 6. I think those are the 3 standout episodes here. We'll start with episode 2. Episode 2 is one of the greatest episodes of television I've ever seen in my life. I still think to this day they nailed it. Is it perfect? No, nothing's perfect. But I think the way they executed this episode was it was peak. It was a peak episode, and it could be my favorite episode of the show. This episode is obviously the attack on Jackson, but most importantly, this is the episode where Joel dies. I think the way they handled the attack on Jackson was perfect. It is one of the most entertaining, fun, awesome, badass sequences I've ever seen in a TV show. I love it to death. I think that's something that it really did do better than the game. The game not having that compared to the show having that, sure, because of that, we missed out on a lot of other action sequences, but I gotta admit, the attack on Jackson was fucking incredible. I loved every second of it. Joel's death. I also really liked Joel's death. I know some people took issue with some of the choices they made, like her not actually beating him with the club, just kind of breaking the club on his leg and then punching him and then stabbing him in the neck. I thought that was fine. I thought it was a different way to do it. It worked. Them doing it that way didn't take away anything from the death for me. What did take away from the death, though, a bit, was Abby's monologue. That is something I didn't like. As much as I love Joel's death in the show, I think Bella Ramsey did a fantastic job acting it out, showing just how upset she was about it. Caitlin Dever is an intimidating presence, even though she's not, like, buff like Abby is in the game. I think her demeanor is more intimidating than Abby in the game. She has this really angry, no, we're going to do it my way, and that's the only fucking way we're going to do it. Type of demeanor. It's intimidating. It really is. She feels much more, again, just angry than she did in the game. In the game, she's more sympathetic from what we've seen of her so far in the show. She's more sympathetic. She can tell she's on the inside, she's still that little girl. In this, she's like, no, we're going after Joel. Yes, we are. We're doing it, and he's dying, type of thing. And it's intimidating. So I think Caitlin Dever did a great job as well, but yeah, I know people hated the monologue. I wasn't the biggest fan of it either. I think it took away from the mystique of the character. I think it not knowing why she's doing what she's doing and who she is part of the unique story being told in The Last of Us Part 2, and I think, again, it takes away from it. So I did not like that. But everything else about this episode, man, the big chase down the mountain with the avalanche was fantastic as well. You know, getting to see some of Abby's crew, even though it's not all of them. Just a all-around stellar episode. Then we get episode 4, another episode people really have a problem with, and this is when people really started to turn on the show. I don't see why. I thought this episode was really good for what it was. Was it as good as it should have been? No. You know, we got the TV station sequence in this episode, right? Such an awesome sequence. You know, but again, undercut completely. You can tell they left so much of the action sequences out. Even in the trailer, you can see Ellie shooting like a big fucking machine gun. Completely took it out of this. But it was cool to see, you know, the bodies hanging up like in the game, and you saw Feel Her Love on the wall. And I like that it was at nighttime. I thought that was a different way to do it. And then, of course, the subway sequence, which I gotta say, as much as I love the subway sequence in the game, I think the show also did it better. I love the part where they're in the tram car and they all start packing in and Ellie's just shooting at them and they got to escape out the roof and they run on top of the car, jump off behind the gate. And the way Ellie reveals to Dina that she's immune was so much better in the show, I thought. I love that she sticks her arm out and gets bit, because obviously there's no spores yet, and gets bit, and Dina sees it. And then they move on into the theater, and she points a gun at Ellie. And I just love that whole sequence, the way she convinces her. She's like, I'm going to go sit on the couch, I'm going to fall asleep, everything's going to be fine. She wakes up, she reveals to her she's pregnant, they sleep together. I thought that was a perfect way to do it. I liked it better than I did in the game. I really did. Then, obviously, the episode ends with the, I'm going to be a dad line. One of the worst lines I've ever heard in my life. And I still remember to this day when I watched that episode. As soon as I heard that line, I literally said to myself, I said, she should not have said that. That was a bad idea. I just knew the uproar it was going to cause online. I knew it. But yeah, overall, I thought it was a really great episode for what we got. I'm also forgetting, we also got the part where she sings to Dina. And Dina, you really start to see Dina falling in love with Ellie in this version. Peak episode. And then we have episode 6, which is the flashback episode. This is just another beautiful, beautiful episode that does a lot of things better than the game does. Obviously, the episode starts off with Joel preparing a guitar and a cake for Ellie's birthday. You get a little bit more of Seth in there. And while we're talking about Seth, I might as well bring that up first. I love what they do with Seth in Season 2. Way better than what they did with him in the game. I know he didn't have to be. He really wasn't an important character at all. But the fact that they brought him in, this is what I love this show for, though. It gives you like extra behind-the-scenes look into different characters that you don't get from the games, like Seth, for example, and Isaac. You know, it was cool to see Seth, not just be this one-note asshole bigot. He actually has a personality, and he has his reasons for what he does, and he has this kind of hard-ass mentality. And he actually, despite Joel pushing him over that night before, he actually cares about what happened to Joel, and he's upset that it happened. He didn't actually hate Joel, He had nothing against them. He was just drunk, and he said something stupid, right? So I'm glad they added that extra bit of depth to his character in this. But, it's an entire birthday episode. It's 3 of Ellie's birthdays, or 4, sorry. It's 4 of Ellie's birthdays. And it's just a great episode. And it also has a great flashback sequence with Joel's father, which is awesome. Played by a fantastic actor. And it's just a great scene where he tells him, he goes, yeah, I hit you, but it's not even close to what my father did to me. And when you get older, I hope you can do a little bit better than me. And that line carries throughout the rest of the episode. And then it goes into each of Ellie's birthdays. We see her first birthday where he sings Future Days to her. They kind of mesh that into her birthday. The second birthday is the museum part we get from the flashback in the game, where they go to the museum and they're inside the spaceship, and he gives her the tape recorder or whatever, or the cassette, whatever. Great, just beautiful seeing them bond again and getting to see them together again. It's just fucking beautiful, man. And then you also get the the sequence with Kat, or not sequence, but you get the scene with Kat, which, again, another character they added upon in this. We never met her in the game. We've heard about her a bunch. We never met her. Even though she's not a big character, it was cool to see, again, a little bit more of her, add some depth to her character. But you see, what's beautiful about this episode is you see the descent as the years go on. She starts to trust Joel less and less. And, you see the Eugene sequence that, once again, he lies to her face. He promises to take Eugene back right in front of Ellie to see his wife, and he's just been bitten. He's about to die. But he lies to Ellie again, and he takes him out to the water, and he shoots him in the head. And he doesn't even give him a chance, right? And that is the precipice that really pushes Ellie over the edge with Joel, man. That is like what does it. That is like she's done. She's had enough. She's already moved into the garage. Their relationship is already on thin ice. This did it. It pushed her over the edge, and she finally told Gale. She blasted him right in front of Gale, and she said he's lying. He could have had a chance, but he shot him in the head and didn't give him that chance. And that all eventually leads up to, obviously, the night before he gets killed, where she freaks out on him at the dance, and then they have their conversation on the porch, which, and to me, the conversation on the porch was so much better in the show than it was in the game. I love the conversation in the game, don't get me wrong, but the show version is so much better. I love how they mixed the flashback from the game out front of the hospital. I love how they mixed that scene in with this, and that's where he really confesses to her what he really did. And again, beautiful line. It's because you're selfish, but he says, no, it's because I love you. And that is what makes it better than the game version. Joel finally lets out how he truly feels. In the game, you never really hear how he feels. He kind of just beats around the bush all the time. You never truly feel how he feels. He never expresses it properly. And to finally see him do that was such a breath of fresh air in this, and I loved it. But yeah, I mean, and as for some of the other things that I liked about the season as a whole, I thought Abby's crew were really well done. I really liked all their performances for what we got of them. I thought they did pretty well. I loved Isaac's backstory stuff. Getting to see more of Isaac was cool. Getting to see how he became part of the WLF, how he betrayed his crew. Getting a little Josh Peck cameo in there for episode 4 was cool. I thought, obviously, like, all the sets and the green screen CGI was all perfectly done. Always is. That's nothing really too crazy there. I thought what they did with the Seraphites was cool, getting a little look into them. I really also liked the hospital sequence. I also thought that was done better in the show. Or specifically, I won't say the sequence, I'll say the part where she beats up Nora. I thought that was better in the show. I think Ellie just let out this kind of anger and frustration that you didn't see in the game, and which was really, really cool. And, I thought the first episode was pretty solid for what it was. I think, again, all the characters from the first show, or for the first season, they did right. Tommy was great. Jesse was also really good. Dina is the standout here. Dina is probably the best new character. And she could be the best character in the show now. She's just fucking fantastic. Isabella Merced kills that role. She was born to play Dina. But yeah, most of what's good really relies on the performances and then the acting and stuff. But man, there is a lot of bad in this season, so let's get into the bad. All right, so I think the first thing here I have to talk about, and this is the season's biggest offender, has got to be the portrayal of Ellie Williams. Now, I just said the performances were great. The way Ellie was directed and written in this season is horrible. Seriously, it's horrible. And what they massacre this character, it is such a shame, because Ellie in the game is a smart, she's smart, she's extremely capable, physically, mentally, she's very strong emotionally. She is a force to be reckoned with in the game, man. She is serious business. She's like fucking Rambo, if Rambo were a girl. She is just a killer. She just is. She's very capable. Very capable. One of the most capable women we've ever had in fiction. Versus Ellie in the show is a grown baby who acts like a child and is so dumb and physically incapable of doing anything for herself. The route they take with her in this game is or in the show is, again, it's just this. She's like a kid. Everybody treats her like she's a child. Tommy, Joel, Jesse, Dina, Kat. Everybody treats Ellie like she's a baby, because in a way she is. She's loud and obnoxious. They ruin great scenes with Ellie, like in the game, the flashback with Tommy where she shoots his rifle off on the hills or whatever. And they have a great conversation, and and she talks to him about how it was. She thanks him for letting her use the rifle, because it was a great way to let out stress and anxiety and everything. And it's a great moment. And they relegate that in the season to her running around going, "I'm immune! I can't get infected!" She is just relegated to this annoying, fucking obnoxious baby in this season. Even like Jesse doesn't treat her like a friend. He treats her like she's just an idiot. When he first comes to Seattle, he's like, "What the fuck makes you think I want to be here? Are you going to come here because of you?" And now Tommy's lost in this damn city because of you, Ellie. It's all because of you. And she's just so fucking unlikable. And everybody blames Bella Ramsey. It's not Bella Ramsey's fault. It's not, because she was great in the first season, and she could have been great in this season. She was just written and directed horribly. Just terrible. They made her into a fucking baby in this. And because of that, they ruined one of the greatest characters in fiction. She really they massacred her in this. So much so to the point where it's like half the time in Seattle, they forget why they're even there. Ellie is all happy and bubbly in Seattle. Like, you're supposed to be depressed. You're supposed to be aggravated. You're supposed to be heartbroken. You're supposed to be damaged. And instead, she's all bubbly with Dina and all happy. "I'm going to be a dad." Like, she's just written horribly. Horribly. I don't know what the fuck they were thinking writing her, man, in this season. She was just written horribly. And all the way up to literally the final moment we see her, no. Like, in that scene, she literally tells Abby to kill her and not Tommy. And then right after goes, no, when she's about to shoot. It's just ridiculous writing. She's the most unlikable character. And that leads me to my next point. Tonally, this season is completely off. This season should be dark, depressing. It should be just this sad experience. You're made to feel lonely and scared. You don't feel that at all, man. Half this season, again, is just happy-go-lucky times with Ellie and Dina. They're walking through the streets of Seattle all willy-nilly, having conversations about what they want to do with their lives and what they want to do after this and how they want to go be after this. And Ellie in the game was nothing. We're doing this. We're going to Seattle. I'm finding Abby and I'm killing her, and we're bringing Tommy home. That's what it was. It doesn't help that Tommy didn't even go to fucking Seattle in this until after Ellie and Dina. He waited. Why? Because he wasn't even there when he died. That's another thing that pissed me off, is that they didn't have Tommy there when Joel died. They had Dina there instead, which I get it. They had to have Tommy back at Jackson for the attack or whatever, but Tommy's last memory of Joel is supposed to be him seeing Joel get shot in the leg. That's supposed to be his last memory, which is supposed to fuel his fire to go hunt Abby down in Seattle. But they took that out. But yeah, and this season lacks that danger factor. Again, they're walking through Seattle all willy-nilly. It doesn't even feel that dangerous, Seattle's supposed to be a fucking war zone. It's supposed to be just death and war on every street corner. You should not be able to turn without seeing it. And it's not like that in the show, they see it once in a while, but it's supposed to be like, again, behind every fucking street corner. It's supposed to be war. And again, I think another one of this season's biggest offenders, it's just way too short. 7 episodes was not enough time, and every episode, it should have been 10 episodes, every episode over an hour. Why they gave themselves this short little gap, again, it felt like they were trying to rush it and push a deadline, man. And they just rushed the shit out of it. And it's so much so you can tell with the dialogue, man, they have to explain every little fucking thing to you. Every little thing they have to explain to you. They don't let you think for yourself even a second in this season. They want to explain every little detail about every little thing because, again, they're trying to push a deadline, and it's easier for them to explain it than actually show it. And it's just embarrassing, man. It's so embarrassing. It's just, this is such a letdown of a season, man. It's weird, man, and just tons of odd decisions too, man. Like in episode 7, why does Ellie randomly get strung up on Scar Island and hung up by a bunch of scars just for them to let her go, and then she goes to the thing to get Abby? It makes no sense. It honestly just feels like they were trying to just throw in random stuff. It felt like they were just throwing shit at the wall and just to see what would stick with that. I don't know what they were trying to do there. Another one of my biggest issues is the heavy amount of action that was cut out of this season. I understand they don't have a Game of Thrones budget. I get it. I really do. But when you're depicting a game that has a lot of action, you need to, satisfy your audience with that. You need to keep up with that. And if you don't have the budget to do it, then don't make the show. But for whatever reason, man, you get 2 action sequences in this show. You get 2 in this season. 2. You get Jackson and you get the subway. Those are the only 2 action sequences you get. And if you maybe, and I mean maybe, want to call the hospital chase of Nora an action sequence, maybe you can call it that. Aside from that, nothing. They cut out the Saravina, which I know is not an action sequence, really. I mean, you fight some infected in the bottom, and then you go up top, and then you see Tommy's handiwork. They cut out that. They cut out the school fight where you kill Jordan, a kind of character that's not here for some reason, probably getting to crunch time. They cut out the entire school fight scene, which is fucking awesome. They cut out the neighborhoods, right after the school when Ellie and Dean are walking through the neighborhoods and killing wolves left and right. They cut that out. Yeah, the TV station, which was there, so we won't count that. They cut out Hillcrest. No Hillcrest at all. Completely cut that out. Don't know why. They cut out the entire hospital fight scene before Ellie goes into the hospital. That got cut out too. They cut out the office where she fights all the stalkers, which I can kind of forgive because you do get a little sequence where they fight a bunch of stalkers. I can forgive that. They cut out the park where she first meets the Scars and the Seraphites or whatever. They cut that out completely. They cut out the other subway sequence, or not subway, sorry, the sewer sequence where she gets pushed out of the window. She falls into the sewer. They cut that out. 8 sequences cut out, dude. 8. I'm dreading to even think what they're going to cut out of the 3rd season, but so many just cut out. And if you really want to go crazy with it, they also cut out the scene in the beginning when they first get to Seattle. The entire part where they go in the bank and then they go in the synagogue and then they're trying to find the gas. All that got cut out too. Replaced with just scenes of them walking down the street, having a conversation, just walking down the street. Or again, where they go into that office and then there's a bunch of the stalkers in there and then fucking Jesse shows up. It's so frustrating what they did with this season, man, because God, man, the trailer looked so good. And again, for the first 4 episodes, I was pleased. It really wasn't until episode 5 where I really started to get frustrated with it. But they really just massacred this season. And I hope they can bring it back with season 3. I really do. I'm praying. I think season 3 is the final season as well. I don't think they're doing a season 4. So, and if season 3 is 7 episodes, man, it's doomed to fail. It's doomed to fail. You cannot, I'm saying it right now, you cannot squeeze the rest of this game in 7 episodes. Yeah, I don't even think you could squeeze it in 10, to be honest with you. I really don't. I think this season should probably be 13 episodes or so. Because think about it. You got to do all of Abby's stuff, which is pretty much, it's a little bit shorter than Ellie's half. You got to do all of that, plus any of the flashbacks you need. plus whatever stuff they want to put of Joel in there, because we know they're bringing him back. They've already pretty much confirmed that. Then you got to do all the farm stuff. Then you got to do Santa Barbara. Then you got to do stuff where she comes back to the farm. There's so much they got to do here, man. I hope they can do it. I'm still excited for season 3. It should be out next year, probably. But yeah, that was my re-review of The Last of Us Season 2. Overall, I give it like a 5 out of 10 now. When it first came out, it was like a 7. Maybe 7.5 when it first came out. Now it's like a 5, maybe 4.5. I think it does. There's a lot to like in this season, but there's also a fuckload not to. So, yeah, let me know what you guys think of this season down in the comments below. If you did enjoy, make sure to rate, comment, subscribe, and I'll see you guys next time. Bye, guys.